My name is Janet. On that fateful day, I didn't expect to find a stranger at my mother's door. Not after everything she'd been through with my father. Not after swearing off love, promising me and herself that no man would ever take her for granted again. But there he was, handsome, huge, and standing in the middle of the life I thought I knew. Coming home was supposed to be healing. Instead, it became a slow-burning storm. One that started with quiet glances, turned into shared smiles, and ended with us painting every corner of that house in secrets we couldn't hide forever. I never meant to fall for him, but I did. And when the truth came out, the walls didn't just remember. It shattered everything inside them. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, do well to subscribe, like, and hit on notifications. To all my returning subscribers, thanks for stopping by. Let us begin. If someone had told me I'd come back from the UK to see a strange man standing in my mother's doorway, I would have laughed and told them to stop joking. My mom, Amelia, was never the kind to move on quickly. After her messy split from my dad, Daniel, she had sworn off men entirely, or so she said. She used words like freedom and peace, and told me she had found herself again. So imagine my shock when the taxi dropped me at her house in Ontario, and a man I had never seen before opened the door. He was tall, broad, and unbelievably handsome, the kind of man you'd expect to see on a movie set, not in my childhood home. His eyes locked with mine as if he'd been waiting. "You must be Janet," he said with a soft grin. "I must be," I replied, cold and confused. He stepped back and let me in without another word. The house smelled like cinnamon and wood polish, just as I remembered. But everything else had changed. New furniture. New curtains. A new energy I couldn't place. Then Mom came out from the kitchen. "Sweetheart," she cried, rushing toward me. She hugged me like she hadn't seen me in years, which was true. But all I could focus on was the way her hand brushed Philip's as she walked past him. "This is Phillip," she said, almost too casually. "He's helping around the house." Helping? With what? Making her blush like a schoolgirl. I didn't reply. I just nodded and looked away. My bags felt heavier than they had on the flight. I followed her upstairs to my old room and tried to hold my tongue, but my chest was burning. "Mom, who is he really?" She sighed. "Janet, I wasn't planning on keeping it from you forever. I just didn't want to drop everything on you the moment you arrived." "You're dating him?" I asked, already knowing the answer. She nodded slowly. "Yes." I turned away. Wow. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed listening to their voices, their laughter. It sounded natural. Easy. Like they'd been happy for a while. And I hated how that made me feel like an outsider in my own home. But something about him stuck in my mind, even as I closed my eyes. Over the next few days I kept my distance. I was polite, even helpful, but cold. I watched Philip closely. He was too charming, too helpful, too perfect. But try as I might, I couldn't find anything wrong with him. He fixed the cabinet doors in the kitchen without being asked. He walked the dog. He made coffee just the way Mom liked it. And when Mom went to town for errands or appointments, he didn't pretend to be in charge. He just minded his business or asked about mine. "You studied psychology, right?" he asked one afternoon while I was reading on the porch. "Yeah," I said without looking up. "That explains why you're so good at bottling things up." I raised an eyebrow. "Excuse me." He smiled, leaning against the railing. "You've been angry with me since the moment you stepped in this house. I get it. I'm not your dad. And I'm not trying to be." That caught me off guard. "You're not bad," I said finally. "That's the problem. If you were, it'd be easier to hate you." From that moment something shifted. The next morning we found ourselves talking in the kitchen while Mom was out. It started with coffee and turned into stories about our childhoods, favorite movies, worst dates. He was smart, kind, and funny in a subtle, grounded way. I didn't want to like him, but I was starting to, and he was looking at me like he knew that. Mom left for a week-long conference in Montreal, and the air in the house changed completely. It wasn't silence. It was tension. It was something unspoken, hanging in every room. On the second day she was gone, Philip knocked on my door with 2 paint cans in his hands. "Want to help me paint the living room?" he asked. I hesitated, then followed. We pulled furniture aside, spread out plastic sheets, and opened the windows. Music played low from the speaker, and the sunlight hit the dust in the air like glitter. He rolled paint over the walls while I cut the edges with a brush. We didn't talk much, until the paint started getting on our clothes. "You've got a streak on your cheek," he said, pointing. "You've got a whole patch on your neck," I shot back. Before long we were laughing, then play fighting with paintbrushes. It was innocent, until it wasn't. He reached to wipe paint from my face and I froze. His hand lingered. "Janet," he whispered. I kissed him first. It was slow, hesitant, then deep, then full of everything we'd been trying not to say. We didn't make it past the living room that night. The walls we just painted became witnesses to something forbidden. The next morning I woke up in my bed, heart pounding. He brought me breakfast like nothing happened. But everything had changed. We were careful, quiet, but there was a fire between us we couldn't put out. It was only a matter of time before someone else saw the smoke. Our neighbor, Mrs. Dawson, had lived next door for years. She was the type who noticed everything and said even more. We didn't see her watching, but she was. It was the day after Mom got back from Montreal that it all came crashing down. We were having dinner. Mom looked relaxed and happy. I was trying to act normal. Philip was too quiet. Then came the knock on the door. Mrs. Dawson, standing there with her signature fake smile and bright red lipstick. "Amelia," she said, "I just thought you should know. Your daughter and that man of yours have been getting a little too close while you were away." Silence. The kind that could break glass. Mom stared at her, then at us. Her eyes narrowed, full of confusion then rage. "Is that true?" she asked, looking straight at me. I opened my mouth but nothing came out. Philip stood up. "It was a mistake. We didn't mean for it to happen." "Stop!" Mom shouted. The pain in her voice was unbearable. "I trusted you," she said to him. She turned to me, her voice cracking. "And you, my own daughter. How could you?" There was no excuse. No way to dress it up. I had betrayed her. Philip left that night and I moved out the next day. The house, once full of warmth and laughter, went cold. Mom didn't speak to me for months. Not until Christmas, when she sent a simple card with 5 words. "I still love you, Janet." That was the beginning of forgiveness, but not the end. Philip tried to reach out once, but I never replied. Some things, once broken, aren't meant to be rebuilt. The house is still there. Freshly painted walls. But the echoes of what happened never left. Sometimes love doesn't just build homes. Sometimes it breaks them. Have you ever imagined yourself in this kind of situation? And I know so many things could be going on in your mind. What did you do about it? Subscribe to this channel, like, and hit on notifications for more interesting stories like this.